the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Committee. This is the 23rd of May. A journey of 1,000 miles that we began so many months ago came to not the finish line, because we'll never be finished, but certainly came to a culmination on the 30th of May. We were blessed with good weather, and I would like to first of all acknowledge the great job that was done by Tom. It was very, very organized and went very smoothly. Tom, you couldn't have done a better job, and you know, we absolutely want to say thank you for that. We want to thank Laura for the great job she did with TAPS. And Laura, tell us what you're going to do with that story you mentioned to me.
Oh, yes. I am a member of Bugles Across America, whose mission is to sound taps at veterans' memorials and funerals instead of them having to rely on a recorded version of taps. So they have a newsletter that goes out to the membership, and I'm going to write an article about the experience of working with everyone to build the memorial and of sounding taps for the ceremony.
Great. That'll be nice, because my entire motivation contacting the media, channels 4, 5, and 7, and Chronicle, and they were all extremely responsive in terms of saying, great idea, it's a good thing that you folks are doing, et cetera, et cetera. It all depends on what's going on with that news day and so on and so forth. But my motivation was there are 351 communities in Massachusetts, and now I am sure that less than half have a Vietnam Veterans Memorial. And if that would be a motivation for them, would be a stimulation, then that would serve the ultimate purpose, I believe. And Templeton has already reached out to me and asked me for advice, and I said, I'll be happy to sit on a meeting. I don't want to be in another committee, but I'd be happy to sit on that meeting and give them, you know, what transpired and what worked and what didn't work. And so with that in mind, the first item on the agenda being, you should have 3 pieces of paper in front of you. One should be the agenda, one should be the names that we may be adding to the Vietnam Memorial, and one is the budget, which our advisor has put together for us in terms of where we are and what we have left, and then we're going to talk a bit about what we're going to do with it. So, but now, you were all there. You were there from a different perspective than I was, and I'd like to hear what you thought, you know, how it went, and what you thought we could improve on, or just I'd like your reaction. So please, I'm opening it up to all of our membership.
I thought it went very well. I don't see how it could be improved.
No.
Great.
The only thing I heard that people were grumbling about were the big vehicles veering off into this parking lot. As I was making my way up to the ground, they said, oh gee, they turned around, I wish I'd known that. So the people who were situated up at the Common did not get to see the parade of the big vehicles.
Yeah, and that's exactly correct, and that's why I'm hoping that the videos that we did, and the idea that at the last minute I thought about a drone, and we managed to get a drone, and that really was an outstanding way, and Brittany did a wonderful job of blending the two together, and she was doing double duty. She had 2 cameras back and forth and back and forth. That combined with the photographs that we took. I have a stick that I'm going to give to Laura, and if you like to put, when you get back from vacation, there's 270 photos that my photographer took, and they're great shots of every aspect of the parade and the organization of it, and he walked along while the parade was going on. I think that Laurie Reed combined with WGAW did a great job.
She did a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't say too much. I think he just let her do 90% of it anyway.
He did less talking than I thought he would, because normally he does more talking. That's Steve from WGAW, but that aspect of it, because people were congregating on the Common because they wanted to get a good place
Right.
And as a result, of course, the parade was breaking up right there. So I think if we're involved in it next year, Tom and I are still on the Memorial Day committee, I would encourage people to line up further down the road, because that's where it broke up. You know, that's literally where, other than the antique cars and classic cars or people that weren't staying, you know, they're the only ones they got to see. But a lot of the contingents were breaking up at that point or going up on the common. So,
But we did, I mean, the last thing I said on the mic was, you know, please go over for the food and to look at all that machinery over there.
and they did. They
Yeah,
went
it's
through
good.
400 hot dogs.
Yeah,
That's a pretty good indication. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but what Laura's saying is that they didn't get to see the parade, so as it was
No.
ending,
We were
so,
all on a float.
Yeah.
We couldn't see it, so
Yeah,
the drone
yeah,
was good.
I was in the Lions float, and
Right.
I was thankful for what Brittany had put together,
Yeah.
because it really gave me a chance to see the parade.
I think,
But I thought, you know, being in the Lions float up there and watching all of the parking to start off with, and then all of the lineup of all of the vehicles went extremely smooth, and that doesn't happen. Well, I mean, you got people from car clubs and motorcycles and horses and all that. I thought that just went
Wonderful,
excellent,
yeah.
and those things don't happen without a lot of planning and your maps and.
it was good
and
how you
that,
had
yeah.
everybody stand around and lift the,
what'd you think of that?
that was very impressive,
Mhm.
and then I think people were very impressed with it and all wanted
It
their
was a
pictures
moving
with it,
experience,
so
wasn't
it
it?
was
Yeah.
very,
Mhm.
Sure was.
couldn't have been better. You couldn't have done a better job.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I enjoyed the videos, cause I saw none of the parade. I couldn't,
Yeah.
I could hear it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Right.
it maybe I haven't looked at the numbers, but I occasionally do look at it. And a typical number of people that look at the videos is about 15 or 20, no matter what you're doing, unless you're doing a disrobing act or something. But I think that the video is up over 500. So that's
Okay.
probably one of the most popular videos
In Hubbardson history.
of all time. Yeah.
Didn't Gary Kangas do one?
Yeah, he
He
did,
did.
you know, along the way, he's done some, and he may publish it, but Brittany did a,
Oh.
you know, bang-up job, and who was it that I got for the, trying to think, I'm having a brain fart as far as the guy that I got for the drone. But he had an official vest on that said he was licensed and insured, and he and I had chatted, and he said the only issue is over houses and over people, because that can be a little tricky, but he said, as long as you don't like spend too much time over them. And I went up the road on 68 by the parking lot at the rec field and knocked on the doors of 3, and I said, tomorrow's gonna be very busy. I hope you understand, there's gonna be a drone up, but the drone is there for doing a video. And they said, they put water out for people. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
man, oh man, it was, so,
it was just as well you didn't have the banner, because I looked at the overhang of trees, you wouldn't have even seen it, so
Mhm.
you saved $800.
yeah, you're right by, down towards the center, there's just too much.
There was too much happening, so
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been good.
Yeah, this is the flyover we were talking about, so, okay, well, that's good. All right, and, so, moving along, the identification of additional veterans, as I indicated before, we became official. Lots of people individually have contacted me, and then I've gotten some emails, and, you know, as I said earlier, there's no way we could have reached out to everybody and accomplished, 100%. And that's why we left room on the back of that monument. So you have in front of you a total of 15 names of veterans who are potentially eligible. The first part of it, the first 6 names, I've researched, I've talked to the family, all relatives, and verified that they are all eligible. So that's 6 names that have to be added. The second set of names was submitted by Jane McCauley, and she got that from Betty Bumpus, who's been in town forever. And as you know, both of their husbands are on the memorial, so those names have come in, 9 names, and Jane did a little bit of research on them. She looked up a few things. She indicated to me that all of them except for one have passed, and that would be Reginald Eugene. And so I have asked Sheila, who is our current Veteran Service Officer, to research it. She
Get the
has
DD-14s for the
yeah,
people.
the access to the computer, and if she finds it on the computer, and I asked her to, verify that they were active duty, number 1, and number 2, whether or not
country.
they were in country. So, she said, be happy to do it. I submitted that list to her, late last night, and, so there is a potential of 15. I have indicated to the first group that it may be 6 months before that happens, because we want the dust to settle. And at that point, we would need to be adding more names to the monument. So I know you all know what the monument looks like, but I have front and back of the monument there. Now we need to decide where we're gonna put them.
I got some thoughts on that.
Okay.
I think we had 16 names and we used 4 of them, so we got 12 slots that are on the back side.
11 will fit,
11 will
11 will
fit.
fit, because of the spacing, I went up and I did.
Oh yeah, we left a space in between there.
Yep, so
Okay.
11 will fit,
11 will fit and we may have 20.
yeah.
Whoa.
So we raised the monument up 4 inches so that the names wouldn't be right on the bottom of the monument. I think what my suggestion would possibly be is,
There's room down below,
what I'd like to see is if we have to use,
so we have room here.
if we have to
We have room
use,
down below.
below the columns in order to put names, that we put the names of those who served in country. So let's say it's,
Of the 20, potentially 5 served in country, you're saying?
yeah, well, I don't know how many, we will end up with,
Yeah.
but,
The
I mean-
first 6 we had 2.
yeah. So the first one would be, Thibodeau, so we go here on the backside where Thibodeau would have fallen in place and put it at the bottom with a star.
So at the bottom of the column that's alpha
that has
closest to
the
him?
T's in it, yeah.
Okay, I got you.
So that it would still be sort of alphabetical, but not really alphabetical. And I don't know whether we wanna leave a space in there, or we have room to have a space or not, but I would like to see the
Sure.
ones that are in country be sort of on the front and the back, where they are close to being alphabetical. And then if we have, let's say we have 10 more or whatever, that we're gonna put on the 11 slots in the back, that we would do those alphabetical. And,
Yeah, because the last 4 we just added are not alpha.
yeah,
So, from a standpoint of space, looking at the memorial, there is room for 11 names of 1-inch font on the back side. There is room, based on the fact that we somehow miraculously decided that we would add that 4 inches, there is room on both sides at the bottom of each column for 2
2 names.
additional names.
Yep.
We can fit 2 in. So if you added that up, you now have room for,
16,
You know, on the
27
front-
names.
8 on the back and 9 on the last column, 11 on the last, 9 on the last column. No, 11, did I say 11?
Oh yeah, 'cause you only got 7 columns.
Yeah.
So
So,
that'd be 14 plus 11.
so we have,
25 names.
we have room, but I'd like your input. What, Ed has given some input as an advisor. How about committee members? What do you think?
The space I'm seeing there, when the man comes to put these names on, rather than having him jump around here and there, wouldn't it be better just to put all the missing names in one area, I mean,
They won't fit. You have too many names.
well, fit as many as you can in the open area and then start moving them
Yeah,
over.
I
I see
understand
what
what
you
you're
mean
saying.
about alphabetical, but, the man who's doing this engraving would probably have an easier time staying in the same spot, wouldn't he, or?
Yeah, but once we go past 11 names, we're gonna be at the bottom anyway.
Yeah,
So if you're gonna be at the bottom anyway, why not have the ones at the bottom be sort of alphabetical?
yeah, yeah.
In other words, if somebody was looking for somebody like Blanchard, well, then they're gonna be in the first
V's.
column and they go, oh, there he is at the
Yeah,
bottom.
okay.
But
yeah.
doing it that way, you'd have ragged bottoms. Some would have an extended, some would be a name at the bottom and some wouldn't, so it would look uneven.
So why wouldn't they be in line?
If we didn't use up all the bottom, then it
Right.
would look a little out of place, which is 4 columns on the front, room for 2 names.
Yeah.
3 columns on the back, room for
So you might have this
2
one with
names.
2 extra names, and the next one doesn't have any.
Right, so that would look a little uneven.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think that makes a big difference.
okay, all right. Tom, input?
I think, yeah, we have to get them on there somewhere.
Yeah,
And I would think the best thing to do is that when we know what the end number is, and we can then take a look and see how we do that and make it look as neat as possible.
Here's a little wild flyer, 'cause I tell my kids I have 10 ideas and only one of them are good, but
2.
you could put a brass plaque where we have the space, and you could get a lot of names in that space where we got the 11. If you put a brass plaque there and the names were smaller, may not be a good idea,
That
but
would
if,
look like that was a special group of people
Yeah, that would call attention to
that
it.
would call attention to
I
that.
also thought about the font being 3/4 of an inch, and therefore getting more names in that last column. But then that kind of demeans
yeah,
I mean, people would say, oh, they must have had to add the names, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
but I'd rather still stick with the,
yeah,
Yeah,
you could, if you did the plaque, you'd have to have something that said,
these names
more,
were added
more
early.
veterans that, were found after the monument was created. or
Steve, what do you
something
think?
I don't think a plaque would be,
Okay.
I don't think so.
That, mark that down as one of my 9 that doesn't.
But there is room on the top of the columns for names too, at least one, from the way it looks.
On the sides of the monument is a possibility
Yeah,
too, but
uh-huh.
you'd be running them up and down this
Yeah,
way.
well, who's gonna look on the side though?
But we don't have to really worry about that, 'cause we can get 20.
Yeah, there is a lot of room on the top.
Yeah, there is, yeah, potentially, yeah. And so, shall we defer until we know the number? And then, literally seek out our engraver and say, what does he recommend to, get his input? And then come back together and collectively make a decision?
yeah, I think
Yep.
it's too early to make that decision yet.
Okay,
I'm gonna see him, shortly, because we're gonna take a look at refurbishing some of the cemeteries, and, we're gonna need granite posts and that. So I'm gonna work with him on that project, so if you want, I'll
yeah, bring it up.
show him what that thing is.
Yep.
And he does a lot of engraving at cemeteries, so he probably runs into this with someone's individual stone.
And it's jumping ahead a little bit, but I think it's, we need to know, and maybe Ed, who's our chief negotiator, can get us a better price, because he charges $185 for the setup. In other words, the setup to show up on site, and then he charges $650 per letter. And I did a little calculation. If the average name is 15 letters, and we had 20, that's 450 letters, and that's 300 letters, and 300 times $6.50 per letter is $1,950, and then $185 for the setup. So now we're up to $2,185 for the cost of having that done, and that's at 20 names, and I'm of course projecting that we may have others, but I think Laura, if you could add that to the Facebook and say, if for some reason you believe you're an eligible Hubbardston Vietnam veteran and your name does not appear on the monument, please let us know. Now,
I think we're asking for trouble if we do that.
but we need to, I wanna do it once and do it.
But, yeah, but, you know, we've given everybody a tremendous ability to reach out to us and get it done.
And look what happened, we
Yeah,
still missed.
and you know,
15.
if you start doing it on Facebook, there's no end to it.
No, I think that, they still have to be qualified.
We don't have
And,
room to put them on.
Pardon?
Is there,
We don't have room to put them on.
Well, we have room for 5 more if we,
Yeah, but then what do you do when you got 10?
I'm hoping that,
Well, I
of
would,
my veterans, but I'm hoping it doesn't happen.
I would guarantee you that if you put that on Facebook and said, you know.
And it was already on Facebook. We had it on there saying if you're eligible, remember, we
Yeah.
by a certain date, so I think,
is there a closing date
I
where
don't
you
think we
don't
have to go
accept
out
any
and-
more names?
yeah,
I don't think we should go out and seek them anymore. I think we should, if they come, we say, okay, let's add them. I don't think we have to go out and hunt them down, is my,
How have people been contacting you who have felt that they were overlooked?
That day, I had 3 contact me. Jim Carpenter called me, and then it's Jane McCauley that submitted the 9 names via an email, because her and I, talk periodically, and she certainly knows everybody in town and been around it forever. So, for the most part, it's been if you were to ask one, it would be email. And
All
it's-
these
Given-
people here, like these here, they all live in Hubbardston?
they did at one point,
Oh, okay.
before, during, or after, and that's
Oh,
what
okay.
we.
How about Carpenter? Does he live in town?
Yeah, Jim lives on 68.
How could he not know what's,
how do we miss
Given-
George Kangas when we got Gary Kangas and Nancy
I can tell
Kangas?
you exactly why, because I asked that question. He didn't think Coast Guard was eligible.
really? And is he related to Nancy and Larry?
Another brother.
Oh, I didn't know him.
Given that nobody has responded on Facebook saying, what about me? It sounds like a Facebook broadcast of asking people for input wouldn't be very helpful. Because the people who are responding are clearly those who didn't pay attention to Facebook, those who didn't pay attention to the town website, those who didn't pay attention to the mailing. They had to see it to believe it.
Literally, I won't name the name again, but literally at the town meeting where I made a presentation where we asked to withdraw the $15,000 grant, I spoke about it. I then spoke directly with he and his wife regarding what was going on, and it wasn't until Memorial Day that
that's
It's a
just-
statistical reality that this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I agree with Ed that not only would it not be effective, but it might be too effective and
All right.
cause more problems
Okay,
than
I'll
we might
go,
have.
I'll go along with that. And we'll wait for, do we all agree that we should wait a 6-month period?
I don't know whether we should wait 6 months because, you know, you'll see it taper off.
I hope.
So if
Honestly.
it tapers off and then 2 months from now we're getting nothing, and the 4th month we're getting nothing, then we should probably move forward and put them on.
Yeah,
And
because,
plus you gotta put them on in good weather, cause you don't wanna have them come in here and do it in February.
Yeah, yeah.
So 6 months would put us where, in November?
Mhm.
yeah, I'd say 2 or 3 months tops, and that
Okay.
way you have one set of
3 months,
charge.
we'll go with 3 months?
So that would be the closing date in 3
Yeah.
months, you can't
Yeah.
do it after that.
Okay.
So, would you be broadcasting that we are still waiting for names, or just waiting
How
for
would I
people?
do that?
Well, that's the question, if we ask the senior center, because Jane is from the senior
wouldn't
center,
do
right?
Okay, just let it,
I just let it go.
wait
Okay.
quietly?
People,
Let the chips fall where they may, and
I mean, it's been what, a year
so
and a
this
half?
is the end of June,
Yeah.
so July, August, September. That's
yeah, I
it.
don't think we have to make any apologies for not
Oh,
trying
no.
as hard as we could
No, this
possibly
reminds me
do.
of when I was a scout leader, I had 7 different ways of contacting parents, everything from text to Facebook to email,
And use
telling them
all.
at meetings, telling their kids, sending their kids home with flyers, and at the event, I'd still get 2 people saying, I had no idea this was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the banners have been up there for how long?
A
Oh,
million
yeah,
years.
I
absolutely.
mean, people living in town, how could they not see that?
I have one person who's, asking the question, when will those two banners come down, the donation banner and.
July 4th is what I thought, and I was gonna bring that up. What do you, but I wanna
That was
bring
the
that up
answer
with
I
the
gave
committee.
you.
Alright,
Okay, we have, literally the donation banner, and we have the photos up there. All of the ones that we had on the banner, and then I had 4 more photos that people who submitted late, but I put that in that frame, and I couldn't leave that there, cause it would be, not stamped to the weather. But what do you think about, a date when we take them down?
July 4th sounds perfect, or
Yeah.
July 5th.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
And
and
then
I,
do what with it, put it at the bandstand or something?
No,
or-
I
No, they're
would say
gone,
it's-
they're done.
Just get
it's
rid of
done,
it. Okay.
yep, yeah, the other one lasted for a very long time, all through the winter
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
on and so forth, but, I think it served its purpose.
Sure.
Because the one with the donor was both sides, and I put it up, and, the cemetery people have been really good about doing
Cutting around
the
it.
mowing around it and so on and
Yeah.
so forth, so.
I mean, I drive by it all the time and look up there and,
Mhm.
you know,
Flowers
we
is
gotta
still
have a
living.
lot of pride as to how that came out and how good, the town common has never looked so good.
Mhm.
And even now, the grass is growing in and the flowers are still blooming, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is,
Yeah.
it really is.
Is
Yeah.
the
Looks great.
Historical Society interested in having that, considering they don't have a lot of storage space and what they do have is crammed in there?
I'll reach out to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, currently the old Eagle is sitting in my barn, in the Wheeler Brothers store,
Well, I was
so-
gonna say, I know someone with several barns who could probably put them on his wall.
Yeah, I've got room, so, all right, so the next is, updated finance report, so, Ed has brought a copy of that, and, Ed, if
So
you-
we're up to date, we just got another, a donation of $200, so that's in the beginning balance. So we're just shy of $50,000.
about that, I'd round it up.
Incredible.
Mhm.
So your expenses are, the monument, 21,100, and then custom and duty charges.
Excuse me, before you continue, 49,780 minus 21,100 does
Is it
not equal,
950?
yeah,
What should the number be?
28,680.
680?
Yeah.
Okay, so instead of, second line, right-hand side, that should be
Thanks, Lauren.
29,680?
That should be 28,680.
28,000, okay, 28,680.
I should have checked that.
And
I-
so that's the only error I found, and the balance at the end would be 5,930.
So instead of 6,200 is 5,930?
Yes.
Okay, thank
So
you.
that's $330 off. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll change this and I'll send you all out a,
yeah, thanks, yeah, cause I
An
wanna make sure
updated,
Sarah and, Bill
yeah, I'll
get that.
send you, an email with the corrected bills. My fault for not taking time.
Have you considered doing this in Excel and setting up formulas so that it adds and
It
subtracts?
automatically adds in that. I could have, but
At this point.
at this point, yeah, it's history. So then the, customs charges and duty, 9,000. So if you look at both of those together, you know, you're looking at 30,418 for the cost of the monument.
Mhm.
2,000, by Astro Crane. I've talked with Astro Crane twice and asked them to, send us an invoice, which they haven't done. And knowing my good friend Marty Wright as well as I do, I
He's
don't
not gonna
think
do it.
we're gonna get one, but, Bill had a good suggestion to reach out to him one more time.
One more time.
So I'm gonna take, Gary Kangas put together a great video, which was on Facebook. And it was just Astro Crane,
Oh, yeah, cause that's
And-
what he was there that day.
just Astro
Awesome.
Crane and, Leominster Monument. So I'm gonna send that video to both of them. And when I send it to Marty, I'll say, you know, we're still waiting, for your invoice, but I don't think it's gonna be forthcoming, which is just, he's an incredible human being.
Oh, my,
Wow.
that would be, he would have delivered and set up that monument with that
Mhm.
huge boom truck, et
Yeah.
cetera, and not charged us.
Mm.
And then
That
there
go-
were,
That goes with the comment he made the day you and I were walking out, and when he just said, we asked him that question, and he just said, well, you know, I can just, you know, put it down and it doesn't get paid, and then I can get it off of my taxes.
Well, what I could do is I could offer him that we could send him a letter of donation and put that on letterhead
Yeah.
and tell him, you know, so that he might be able to personally write that off on his taxes.
My goodness, yeah. Cause in-kind services were,
Cause
would've been double that
you
amount.
would have figured in, yeah, I mean, you're probably looking at $4,000,
Oh my gosh.
4,500, something like that.
Storage,
All the times he used the crane to flip it over and turn it around and whatever.
inside his building, yeah,
Yeah.
boy, oh boy, I mean,
Let me,
yeah.
is 4,000 a good number,
I-
or 44,000?
If, do you concur, committee, that, in light of all the extra things that he did, that 4,000 would be a number that we could put on a letter?
Yeah.
I would absolutely concur with that for all the things he
Yeah.
did.
I mean, everybody else who donated has a check or has a documentation that they can use on their taxes. He, without this letter, he doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
I'd say as long as you enumerate the services, so that, because we have an actual invoice for 2,000, so I wouldn't want there to be any question as why we're doubling that.
Sure.
Don't
Yep.
wanna make it seem like we're
Yeah.
helping them out
We
for
could make a
taxpayers.
list on a page of all
I
the
think,
things
I
he
think
did.
what we could do is, when we send him, if he wants a donation letter, I can put together the body of that with enough things that
line
they
item.
did, line item, yeah, enough to justify the other 2,000, that's a good point.
Okay. And, right in line with, Ed, you, let me know if you're finished.
So then, coming down, the next section is all the restoration of the monuments, and that was 10,000
300
and
30.
10,030.
Mhm.
And the band we voted for. And then, all of the other expenses that came toward the back end of it are there. I guess I could line up that 2,600 a little bit better.
What happened to the estimated 6,000 that you were hoping to get from the insurance proceeds?
We did,
Um,
we got
We got, it shows there
45, 42.
4,542 we got on insurance.
Right, but I thought that you had said it would be 6,000.
I did,
I
but
misremembered.
we weren't able to get that. They just said, this is all the insurance company is gonna give you, take it or leave it. And,
I believe we're very lucky to get that.
yeah, well, most people who deal with these overseas, you know, I was disappointed in them in terms of, you know, what happens if we had a full, if we had a full crack in the half and
breakage or
it's not
something.
good at all. I
Yeah.
mean, in the specs, they were supposed to insure that for $20,000, which would have covered the cost of a new monument
Yeah.
and shipping.
But we didn't need to replace it, we just needed to
No,
repair
but
it.
I'm wondering if they ever did that.
Yeah, what, did what, submitted
I
a,
wonder if they had the insurance for
Oh, I see, yeah.
20,000.
cause they paid, according to that 2,600 that we told them that we paid to get it repaired, and the cost of storage, so
Yeah.
we gave them.
No, negotiated that back.
Yeah, and, yeah, just, I mean, putting it in perspective, I had a 105-pound Raptor, delivered last Friday, and it was totally crated and totally shrink wrapped, and it took me like 4 hours to get it off, and that was just that small thing. And when I must have said 20 times to my son, if only they did that to the monument, and it totally crated it, it would not have happened, so.
Let me do this if I'm gonna redo this. Why don't I do this? Why don't I take all of these expenses that are on the second page, and we'll have all the ones that apply to the monument, we'll put up in the monument section. And all the ones that are for the cannonballs and that, I'll put those in the restoration section. And then I'll have a miscellaneous section for
Okay.
donor banner, stencil for plaque, stuff like that. Alright, let me do that and then it'll categorize them better and,
Yeah.
You'll send a copy to each of us?
Yeah.
Okay, so, the bottom line is that we
and
still
I'll
have,
make sure it adds.
yeah. Bottom line
It's
is,
not like
do we
me.
have $5,930 remaining?
Yeah, and a couple of thoughts on that, because if we were to donate that to my understanding of the town accounts and how they work from being on the finance committee, if we were to put this in the Memorial Day committee bucket, that goes back to the general fund at the end of the year. And they have to appropriate every year to put it in your Memorial Day fund. So there's,
Which traditionally has been $1,500 a year.
yep.
When we had it, when you had to go out and beg for it.
So
we
if
didn't
you,
have anything,
if
so-
you had $100 left in that, at the end of the year, that gets washed into the general fund, and then you get another $1,500 the next year. You either could make that, have them request and make that a revolving account, so that each year it would just move forward, and we have revolving accounts for planning board, and all the boards have them. So I don't think that's a difficult thing to do. However, my other thought was, because of the names, do we wanna just have them make a revolving account for maintenance of the monuments? And that way, it would cover new names being put on. If we had to do any cleaning or other maintenance to the monuments, then they would have an account that they could do that from.
Okay, so that is a line item in our agenda.
Oh, I thought we were there.
No,
Sorry.
and before we finish up on finances, I wanna let you know, everybody's been paid.
Yeah.
All the warrants have been submitted, all the warrants have been paid, so we're
You
clean,
know- yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
100% clean.
Yeah.
So, and it was a little bit of a battle, but we got it done. So, that, if in fact we have the 5930 remaining, now I'm open to suggestions. Ed has made some. We now know that we're probably gonna be spending a little over $2,000 on engraving the new names.
Mhm.
So that's certainly gotta be taken into consideration. So I certainly don't wanna close out the account for the time being. I'm gonna, and I will talk with Ryan and I'll say, this needs to be left open for the time being.
That will be interesting, because we've already gone into a new fiscal year, come July 1. It'll be interesting, if that account is still there, I hope they don't wash that back into the general account
I'll
at the-
have a
at the end-
conversation
at the
with
end of the year.
Ryan on Monday. And, cause I wanted to meet with you folks first, kinda get your input, and then sit with him and chat.
You say if we have a maintenance account that pays for the engraving?
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
And
good.
engraving moving forward, like,
Yeah.
next year we come up with 3 more names, wanna put them on, the money's there to do it.
Somebody shoots the head off the eagle.
Yeah.
Three.
rolls of cannonballs down the
Or if
street
we
again,
had to do maintenance on the cannonballs,
So, okay, other input regarding what we should do with the remaining money?
and I think that's also in keeping with how we raised the money. We raised the money for the monument and then expanded to do the other monuments, but basically it was monument money we raised, and therefore I think keeping it in that category
So
makes
when I'm
sense.
talking with Ryan, I'm gonna mention the maintenance and the engraving.
Cleaning of monuments,
And could we say,
Upkeep.
including all the other monuments in town, if they need to have any refurbishing or cleaning, or can we include, like flowers for next Memorial Day, versus that coming out of another fund, or what do you think?
I would rather keep it to monuments. I mean, despite the fact that the ones that you see, looked so nice, cause everybody, they came out and cleaned them all up, and there's several in this town that just look like, I won't use that word, but they just, I mean, it's, and this now, I've always been amazed in this town that there's always been everybody doesn't want to do the job. You know, you've got we have a committee that's supposed to do the upkeep, I believe, for the cemeteries. But they're all people that are even older than I am, and so they try to get the road boys to do it, and you know, they're busy too.
Well, if, I'm working with the cemetery commission so that they'll file for ARPA funds, so that we can put all new fencing on the 3 cemeteries on 68, but also taking a look at the other cemeteries, the one up Forest Glen, up Hale Street, and there's one on 62 that has a monument in it,
Right,
a pyramid.
Yeah.
And there's so many broken stones there that it's really sad. And I was thinking, you know, who was a Beller at one time wanted to do some work with us on the, you know, that might be a good thing for her to see. You know, sometimes they can glue them and pin them, and you know, there's stuff that can be done. But we're gonna try, and I mean, the cemeteries on 68 need new signs. I don't wanna go too long, but we're gonna look at putting the whole package together and seeing if we can't get that done with ARPA funds, and also talk with Ryan about it, and there may be some funds that are available in capital planning that might be able to do that too. So we're gonna try and spruce the cemeteries up.
I would
I'm getting closer.
Good.
I would say that this money should be earmarked exclusively for the memorials that are in the town common, and that would include maintenance of broken pieces if there are any, cleaning them, and the landscaping around them. But just the war memorials that we have been
Okay, on the
addressing.
common.
On the common, yes.
Okay,
On the common and the Korean War, the
The school.
the
Gotcha.
center of town, I should say, not the common.
Right.
well, they certainly look good on Memorial Day, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Sure they
We
do.
still do.
They still do.
And I had one other email from the sister of Toivo Mericanto.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Very, very appreciative of everything we did. Just they were both Karen and her husband were there, but we spelled Toivo's name wrong.
Oh, no.
It was spelled wrong on the form we received.
Is that right, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. By a relative that submitted it, because he's still alive. And
It was that official form that we were proofreading against.
TOVIO?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was incorrect there, and I only realized it wasn't when I started looking up people online and seeing obituaries and family names, and I realized that that's a pretty common Finnish first name, and it was spelled incorrectly.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's fixable.
You ever wait out?
No,
The engraver maybe
engraving
can
it
change.
deeper.
Well, I told her that we probably could, she said, don't worry about it. You know, I'm thrilled that his name is on there.
I'll have Bob Pearson
Yeah,
look at it.
and,
Toivo, T-O-I-V-O,
The correct spelling is Toivo.
Yeah, we have it Tovio.
Mm-hmm.
and that's Mericanto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Merikanto. And so I said, but he's alive, he's living in Florida, and I made her promise not to tell him. She said, well, I haven't yet.
That his name was spelled wrong.
Yeah, yet, but, so,
Well, probably ought to.
How's it
go back
spelled on
and-
the monument?
spelled T-O-V-I-O. We're missing,
T-O-V-I-O.
If it's a fact that how we received the name from them
yeah.
was misspelled.
Yeah, and Laura says that that's the way it came in on the application.
1, 2, 3,
Maybe they don't know how to spell it right.
It's 5
Yeah.
up from the bottom on the first column.
Yeah, not an easy name, but it's a common Finnish name, so. Okay, so, in light of that, I believe, we, by the way, had a gracious invitation by our, advisor, to get together at his place on, Monday the 27th, but
Yeah,
that's
sorry
not gonna
about-
work
Yeah,
out.
this is something that's
Yeah,
critical to the Lions Club, so
Yeah.
I need to be at the, I mean, the only way we could do it if we did it 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and I
Yeah.
could make the
Yeah.
6.
then that's too
So
rushed.
you-
rush.
you've changed
Why
it.
don't I come up with some new
Another-
dates and
yeah.
throw them out, and then we
Okay.
can,
Yeah,
we
'cause
got,
that'd
So
be a
it's
nice
not
way.
Tuesday then?
no.
Oh, okay, that's
So
right.
we should get, if you wanna put that out for people who might
Yep.
think it's gonna happen.
Yep, yeah.
And,
That would be Bill, cause Sarah, it was really nice of Sarah to come up from North Carolina, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Special
Good to
effort,
see
was
her, yeah.
really good to see her,
Great
and
to
she
see her.
was thrilled her dad was with her, and they were very, very happy. So many great pieces of input, and I saw the emotions, and the stick I have that has over 200 photos, I would say, were you willing to put some of those on Facebook? Okay, and I have made it a point, as a member of the Memorial Day Committee, to take, because every group that participated in the parade, every group that participated in the services, we have a photo of. And so far I've done like 15, in other words, I downloaded a picture and sent them a thank you email with a photo, including our National Guard, and they were very appreciative. I sent it to the headquarters and they sent it ahead to the unit that was there. I had too many interactions with the band, like every day, she, when are you gonna pay me, when are you gonna pay me? I said, I'm not gonna tell you again, that it goes through a warrant, it gets paid twice a month, so they did get paid. I would not employ them, but I'm already reaching out to, state police, honor guard, cause, we didn't give them enough notice, otherwise they may have shown up. And I would reach out again to the, National Guard, and I would probably reach out again to the Connecticut Air National Guard and the Rhode Island Air National Guard, cause we came that close. But I don't know if I told you the anecdote, a week before, they said, oh, we just realized, cause they had clearance, and they said, we just realized how far away Hubbardston was, cause they fly out of Bradley.
When your fighter jet, like 20 minutes.
11 minutes to IP, which is Mount Wachusett. I knew that because I was dealing with a lieutenant colonel who retired from the Connecticut Air National Guard and flew 130s all the time this way. He said, I just fly over Mount Wachusett all the time. It's 11 minutes flight time from Bradley. So I called the guy and I said to him, geez, you had me on a roller coaster ride here. I thought we had you. And he said, oh, Bill, he said, I'm awfully sorry. He said, we just realized how far away you were. And I said, it's 11 minutes flight time from Bradley to the IP. I don't know what that means, but it must be
Initial point?
initial point or interesting point or whatever, which is Mount Wachusett.
Yeah.
And he went, yeah, but we're in Norwalk that day, because they had 4 or 5 flights they had to do, and they were going that direction south, he said, so it's much further, and he said, I can't pull it off, so I said, well, but I think I'd initiate earlier contacts and see if next year we
is
can do
there,
it. And we have some good ideas for, what do you do to repeat what we did? To draw the attention. And so as a Memorial Day committee, we've got some ideas that we hope will induce people to wanna come back again. I mean, the military vehicles we had there were a nice touch. I wish more of the classic cars had stayed, but people have places to go on Memorial Day, and so I was thrilled that we had over 30 classic and antique cars, so that was.
Where
that
would
nine-year-old,
they-
that
where did
nine-year-old
they come
girl,
on? They lined up
They would've,
68.
Yeah, we had told them, because we had our volunteers, thanks to the Lions Club, et cetera, up on the field, and said, at the end of the parade, you can park on either side of Main Street down by the Common. So they did have, and then Patrick, who had our master's ceremonies, and the Grand Marshal, I said to him, you're the one that's gonna begin that, cause when you pull up on the right-hand side, people will know that's where they can park, but not many did, so, I got some good input from the volunteers, and, for the most part, and people had observed, how it went. The parade didn't take as long as we thought it would
No.
take.
Yeah, there's a little lag in the program.
Well, that's why, Tom did
Between
a
that and
little-
the flag
yeah,
start,
yeah,
yeah.
he did the song and dance, but did you notice the wind came up just as,
Just as they started pulling them
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
yeah, and that Vietnam flag is still up there, cause I'm keeping that up there till the 4th of July too, so. All right, anybody have anything else? to say?
I don't know, I've got all these records, and, you know, I'm not a keeper of things, because I promised my kids I wouldn't have a couple of dumpsters to throw away. These are ones these are pictures of all the monuments on a before basis that I put, when I applied for the CPA funds. That was part of my submission for getting us the 15,000.
Then we didn't need it after all.
No.
And you had said we'd fix all the other monuments.
We got her done, yeah.
I have, some family updates. The young lady that was with me, Art, in the car, has had her induction, in flying jets.
I'll be darned, yeah, good for her.
They put her in have you seen the new Top Gun?
Steve?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they took her to 23,000 feet, nosed it over, broke the sound barrier on the way down, pulled out at 700 feet with 6.2
Jeez.
Gs,
Jeez.
and rolled upside down, and
Oh.
flew upside down for a while.
And did they clean up the throw up afterwards?
Nah.
She, when they got back on the ground, the pilot took her and said, no one has ever lived through that.
Huh?
First time. They get sick,
Yeah.
we do that. And I remember when I had my first flight,
Yeah.
and they made me barf.
Did they make you clean it up?
Huh?
Did they make you clean it up?
Well, what you did is you had a helmet
Put
on,
a full helmet on.
and you did pull your helmet off and
Bag.
barf in it. But the problem was that, you know,
Put it back on.
we didn't have
Three
helmets.
Stooges.
We didn't have helmets, so they take the ensigns that were there, and they'd have to give us their helmets, and so that, you know, now you're barfing in the seat, you know, on another
Yeah,
guy's-
Kristen did, huh? Yeah.
Great.
Good for her.
Anyway,
Yeah,
she
she
did
did well, huh?
good, she did well, the guy said, you know, this is incredible, we need you.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And Gregory, was summoned to Washington the day before yesterday to interview for a different place. Apparently, the assistant, to the Navy assistant for, it's a female, and she is, not a female, she's not a military, but she's the assistant to the Navy, they have one person that is charge of the Navy, and another one, you know, mostly they're not military. But anyway, apparently she decided, she's brand new on the job. Gregory says she's a hot ticket. She's, you know, she likes to come in early and get going on the day. And the captain that was working for her didn't see it that way, and they fired him.
Fired him, yeah.
They just outside, I mean, not only, they didn't fire him, he's out of the Navy.
Wow,
So,
They ripped them?
it's a little drastic.
well, I think there were words that
Wow.
were exchanged, probably. So anyway, they've now, as of today, they've interviewed 3 people. And it will be by the end of this week.
Well, he's a fine officer.
Phil, no.
He's,
Okay, 7:35, sorry we weren't able to do the Zoom part of the meeting, but I will make it a point to let our other 2 members know what transpired. And it's been a pleasure working with all of you. I'm sure we'll have at least one more meeting because we have some unfinished business, but enjoy the summer and I'll be back in touch with
Yeah, we get a date,
yeah,
we'll get you a new
get
date
together
so we
for a
can
little
get together.
socializing, cause,
Yeah.
When we get together to make the monument for Desert Storm and beyond,
yeah, Laura, I've already got a place picked out for it.
I'll bet you have.
Mm-hmm.
I'll count me in.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Bye,
care.
folks.
Okay, night. Have a good